right, are we ready? Ready. Yes. Hi, everyone. Howdy. How are we doing? Good. I hope this is the most interactive session you have. I don't have a PowerPoint. I don't have a speech. My goal is for us all to leave with a whole bunch of tools and maybe a few labs. Can y'all hear me okay? Everybody hear me? Okay. My name is Elizabeth Gore. I am the founder of Hello Alice. We are a financial technology that funds small business owners. So we're about 10 years old, and we've helped 1.55 million small businesses to date, which I'm very proud of. Our primary focus is equitable access to capital, so loans, credit, grants. However, we're super focused on your financial fitness as well. So our business health score is the #1 pre-underwriting tool in the country. It's a free tool, so you can put all your business data in there and we'll spit back out how you're doing. As a social enterprise, we don't sell your data. Oh my God. And we love community. We love advocating globally for small businesses. We, in the United States, fund the most people of color with business grants, the most US veterans. I'm very proud of that. And then globally, we help other groups do the same. So we do about 60 million in small business grants, and then we work really hard also to squash the predatory things like predatory credit and others. So that's just who we are. That's not what I'm doing here today. Today we're talking about fundraising. Are we in the right panel? Fundraising. Okay. And you can always connect with me. I'm at Elizabeth Gore, USA, on any of the socials. So I'm from Texas, so hopefully my accent won't throw anybody off. We'll see. No boots today. I usually wear boots, actually. So how many of you in the room are founders or entrepreneurs? Ex-founders are fine. We believe in you. Okay, always a founder. How many of you are ecosystem leaders? All right, I'm going to make sure and make it relevant for all of y'all. I even wrote a little notes to not forget my ecosystem builders in the room. So I just want to talk a little bit about funding globally right now. I'm also an investor and an LP in quite a few funds, and it has been a goat rodeo the last few years, particularly in financial tech. So we've seen valuations go up and down like crazy. Gone are the days of COVID where money was just flowing everywhere, so term sheets are a little harder right now. I also, when I'm talking today, want to talk about lending and banks, because I think that is equally or more important to your business, because you will use it at some point. I hope that means you're in a successful state. And there's all sorts of things from growth capital to emergency capital. And right now in the United States, for example, a lot of emergency capital is going because of tariffs. So folks are having to pay unit costs that they didn't expect. COVID was another example of that. The global economy has been through a lot of this, so we're going to talk about all of it. But the thing I wanted to focus on today are 3 things: money, mind, and mountains. Okay? Money, mind, and mountains. Do we get that? What are they? Money, mind, and mountains. Also, I'm going to be picking on y'all to come up here quite a bit because I don't want to do this by myself. Okay? So, money. The 3 things that I think any banker, investor, potential business partner, and maybe even corporate customer are going to look at is your money, your mind, and can you climb and survive mountains? Money, mind, mountains, okay? So we're going to really walk through, and might seem simple to you today, because I'm a simple person, not really. But we're going to go through each of those elements, and I'm going to talk about a lot of mistakes that I've made as a founder. So we, as a company, Hello Alice, we're Series C backed, venture backed, mostly US funding, a lot of traditionals, venture capitalists, but that's not where we started. So we started with bootstrapping. My co-founder and I moved in together. We didn't even know each other. We had 2 kids each. And moved in, shared a babysitter, mortgaged our homes, maxed out our credit cards, which you should do none of that. Do not move in with a random stranger. Do not mortgage your home. Do not max out your credit cards. What we did do right, however, is we applied for 8 zillion grants. I am a huge fan And every country, almost every country that's in this room, I guarantee you in some way has small business grant programs. They might be government-led, they might be philanthropic, they might be city-led, it might be a corporation giving grants to their end customer. So I love grants, love grants. So think about that. The other thing is, people say, well, what if I start inching into venture capital early? And I don't think those days are here very much anymore. It's rare these days to have pre-market fit or pre-revenue and be able to get a really big term sheet. So I'm a very big fan of traditional loans, actually. In the United States, we talk about our SBA-backed loans, small business loans. South Africa's loan program, I'm a big fan. Chile's, I'm a big fan of. The EU's programs. Not everyone has government-led backed loan programs, but it's important that you look at those. We did get an SBA loan in our early days. So when you start thinking about venture and you're moving past, did I try grants, did I try loans, did I try lines of capital, did I try partnerships? We're not going to have time to talk about partnerships today, but I love companies that launch with other companies. Whether we launched inside Dell Technologies, for example. It was a great launching pad for us. If you're a food services or a CPG company, maybe you launch inside PepsiCo. If you're an AI company, maybe you launch inside Cisco. There's great things to do there. Well, let's say, okay, I've got to go think about growth capital now. So whether either side of the table you're sitting on, if you're the person writing the check or asking for the check, there's a lot of things to really think about with venture capital. So one is, am I going to sell this company someday? Am I looking for an exit? That's a crazy thing to think about your first couple of years. Also, different countries have different mindsets. Earlier today, I heard the EU is pushing entrepreneurs to think more about exits and exit strategies, whereas the US, we're almost too aggressive. We think of it the day we start, and that's not a great way to build a company. But the only way these venture capitalists or traditional funders are going to get their money back is because you will sell that company someday. There is one small area that is equity-based capital where you actually are a cash partner and you get money back based on cash flow. Somewhat rare, but it exists. I actually love that model, so if you can get it, that's great. Otherwise, you're giving up a piece of equity, a piece of your soul, a piece of your mind share, and a huge fucking piece of your time. Oops, there was the first one, sorry. A huge piece of your time, okay, of your company. That's fine, but it's important to know that and acknowledge it, okay? So suddenly you've gone from a company where you're 100% control in the moment, you're also control of what you do with that company. Is it a lifestyle business? Am I gonna cash flow it? Do I want to partner? Do I want to sell it? Do I want to give it to my children? That is no longer an option. You're going to have to sell that company at some point. Also a great option, but it's important to think about. You folks on the writing check side of the table, are you going to push the entrepreneur to really make that decision? There is no legal obligation for most venture capital for you to sell a company. It's not a publicly traded company. So you got to make sure that that founder has the heart, and we're going to talk about mountains later, to actually grow and sell that company. I think that's really, really important. The next thing is, what are you giving up? What are you selling? What is your company worth? We're not going to go into valuations today. That whole world changed in the last 24 months, completely. I actually think the day Silicon Valley Bank and a couple of our other US banks collapsed, suddenly the whole valuations world blew up. I guarantee you there will be studies. They were our second largest investor. We lost them in 48 hours, okay? Also, fintech went from being so overvalued, which I benefited from, to level setting or going down, and now it's kind of level setting. So I think those big inflated valuations are not going to be there anymore. So really how you value your company, you should be spending a lot of time on that, because you could be darn sure that the folks on the other side are going to needle you to death and figure out what that company is worth. Now, if you're pre-revenue, that's where it's hard, right? Or you're not building a thing, right? Folks are really confused on how to value AI right now because it's changing every single day. what a company was valued at 6 months ago is not the same right now with the evolution of AI. So you're really going to have to think about valuation. How are you valued? How much money or ownership are you willing to give up for the money you receive? The last couple of things before we get in our workshop, I'll just say is I care very, very much about the who on both sides. You are getting married. And even in a marriage, you can get divorced. You cannot get divorced from a venture capitalist. There is literally no legal option in most countries, even in malfeasance, to get divorced from a venture or an equity partner. So you want to pick them right on both sides. You as an investor, you as a founder, is this organization right for me? Do I like these people? Do we share the same values? And most importantly, outside of the very important money they're writing a check for me, how are they going to benefit my business? What skill sets are they bringing? What network are they bringing? Can they open doors? Do they have the time? That is so, so important. So there's don't do the assholes, don't do the stinkers, but then there's these kind of levels of, okay, they're nice people, we share same values, I like their organization. Now, are they going to open doors? What is their network? So you should be evaluating them as much as they're evaluating you. Do as many phone calls as you can that is not on the list they give you. Okay? Talk to other founders, talk to their LPs. LPs are really important. The folks that write them checks to write you checks. So all of this really matters. Now, the beautiful thing is when that all works, man, is it awesome. Right now, after 10 years, we have the best board we've ever had. And we had the toughest 24 months we've ever had as a business, and that board showed up. We've had board members we've kicked off, they're still on our cap table, but they're gone. We've had folks we didn't get along with. Right now we have the best we've ever had. It took us a decade to develop it and learn it. They're awesome. So I just say all this because we're not going into detail in these areas, but they're just so, so important. And finally, lawyer up. Spend the money early on everything when you sign those papers. So, term sheet is your first thing. It's the document you're going to hand over, and it's your one-page negotiating tool of how much you're worth, how much checks they might write. Ironically, that's the easy part. You're going to want to get your own counsel. Sometimes they'll offer their counsel. Do not do that. Pay the money, get your own lawyer, really understand the rights they have for your company, the voting rights they have for your company. Are they allowed to fire you? What are they allowed to see? All the way down to how much are you required to communicate with them? Once you have 40, 50 investors on your cap table, that stuff matters. You can't just be throwing documents back and forth, okay? This is really important. The other little thing I'll say is a lot of lawyers will hold their invoicing until the deal is closed. So it's really helpful because they want your business. Because once you get in with a lawyer when you're raising, you stick with them round after round usually. So I would ask, can I pay you after the deal is closed? So just think of it as, you're paying your real estate agent after your house closes. So I just wanted to throw a few of those things out before we get into our money, mind, and mountains, okay? All right, I need 3 folks to hop up here, and you got to move fast. You're coming up. You're coming up, and then an awesome woman in the blue shirt. Come on up. Okay, while they come up, I want to talk about money. And again, those of you that are ecosystem builders, I hope you can learn from this. Have a seat. Have a seat, grab a mic. Nice glasses.
Thank you.
That's great. Can you quickly introduce yourselves and have a seat? Have a seat. And where you're from and your company or organization.
Okay. I'm Laura Schmidt from Prairie Village, Kansas, and my company is Notes to Self Positive Affirmation Socks.
Ooh, but you're not wearing socks. Come on.
In my bag.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Oni Snow, and my company is Opalite, and I'm building an infrastructure to facilitate digital art in the physical world for the first time to be naturally exposed to support the digital artists of our age.
Awesome.
Okay, so my name is Heyman Farman. I'm an investment manager in one of the leading financial organizations that supports entrepreneurs in Iraq. We are in the business of lending for SMEs and also startup businesses. We fill the gap of the missing middle, which is the companies that are really not too big for venture capital, but also not too small for microfinance organizations. So what we are focused on, we're an impact investor. So we, although we as a fund manager, we are backed by international organizations and agencies, but we are mainly focused on impact and sustainability of the businesses and the innovation and things that they bring to the community as well.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, let's talk about money. So I don't care how charismatic you are, I don't care how good your business plan seems, you have to know when you walk in to meet with someone, every piece of money that's in your business, every cost, every potential growth, every debt, what are you paying yourself? What is the money in your market, in your entire industry? You need to know all of it. It is so important because that's where you're dead in the water if you don't know. And that's whether it's with a bank, it's with a venture capitalist, it's with a potential organization that's going to give you a grant. I cannot stress enough how important that is. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to hotspot. No wrong answers. You're great. And if you want to give me fake numbers, that's fine because it's your business. But I'm just going to ask you, what is your revenue projections for this year?
$2 million.
2 million. See how fast that was? What about your costs? Potential costs for the year.
Including overhead?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to end up with about 200,000 net profit.
Awesome. See? So she knows her numbers, and thank you. By the way, I'm not going to hurt anyone, I promise. I'm too nice. So she immediately knows her revenue projections, her costs, and what she wants to end up with. So let me ask you a different money question. Tell me what your industry, what the opportunity, the financial opportunity in your whole industry. Yeah.
The opportunity in the digital art industry, if we're talking about the four factors, so which is 2D art, 3D art, animation, and photography, all of those together are $67 billion. And the portion that I am aiming for is 15. Yeah.
Amazing. So suddenly, my attention is piqued when I heard 67 billion, right? I didn't know a lot about his industry. And then suddenly I hear the word 67, and if I'm looking at my watch or I'm doing an email or thinking what I had for breakfast, I hear 67 billion, I'm like, oh damn, I need to pay attention to this founder, right? So knowing the industry, like that shocks the hell out of me. That's amazing, right? And you know your stuff, right?
It's actually a lot bigger, but there are a lot of different kinds of marketplaces
in
terms of digital content that have never been centralized and monetized before.
And then, thank you. The second thing he did before I even asked is he said, here's the percentage that I want to capture of that industry, right? Amazing. Okay, you're a banker, so I gotta be harder on you.
Yes, we would like to kind of like differentiate ourselves from banks, but it's a good compliment.
Okay,
you can take it.
So I'm gonna ask you to flip it around. What's one of the most important questions you ask founders about their money that you ask a lot consistently?
Yes, so we back entrepreneurs. So obviously they have businesses, and but when we do the business diagnosis for them, we check all their financials, their revenue, we do the balance sheet, the income statement, the regular way of doing it. I would say the most important factor of funding entrepreneurs or the small businesses or startups have been the entrepreneurs themselves, their drive, their ambition, their goals and their visions, and their financial forecast as well of their business.
The financial forecast.
Yes.
Okay.
So these factors have contributed for us to make a smooth decision about funding that business, whether we want to fund it or not.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And usually it comes out when they do the pitching to us, and we have, we funded some businesses that had no revenue, and now they are making it, and like they have clients from all over the world, right? With the very small team, probably one or two, and had zero revenue, no website, and to a business that is thriving. And so it depends on if you can if you can believe the dream of the entrepreneur themselves, and if you can, see that the vision that they have for their business is something that they really can make it, I would say, we can go for that as well. That could be a factor.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. I want to keep going on money for a minute, and I want y'all to jump in. So, budgets. I'm always so surprised that really understanding your core budget. So all these are macro elements, but really understanding your unit costs. What are we going to pay in taxes? How does payroll work? I actually am terrible at math, but I love budgets. It's weird. They're very organized for me. So budgets, it's one. What's another money matter that y'all think is important? Anything to do with money? Just raise your hand. Money matters. Yes, ma'am. Taxes, okay, very important. And remember, different countries are different, but you've got city, state, and fed on our taxes, right? Savings for a rainy fund. I'm glad you brought that up, because this is going to come up in our mountains area. 2/3 of the world have had a natural disaster. I know that sounds silly when it comes to entrepreneurship, but the amount of impact that not just the economy, but natural disasters have had, pandemics have had, it's very critical for folks to understand how to get through turbulent times financially. That is a new skill set that everybody talks about right now. So you hit a good one. Someone was super excited. Yes, ma'am, with the blonde. Cash flow. Okay, different than budgets, right? I might get a $10 billion contract, but if I have to source that contract, figure it out, pay for it, and I don't have the cash, how does that work? So cash flow management, that's great. Who else? Yes, sir. Say it a little bit louder. Ooh, that's a good one. Cost of customer acquisition. Is that right? Is that what you said? Oh man, that's a big one. Cost of customer acquisition is a big one. Our time is up on money, but I want to get everybody's stuff. There was a couple more over here. Cost of customer acquisition. Yes, sir. Tax deductible expenses. I love that. Find money where you have it, right? Yes. Huh? Debt. Okay, let's spend a second on debt. Both me and my co-founder are risk averse and debt averse. Is that a good thing? Why no, sir? Why is it not? Okay, I'm going to repeat what you said. I completely agree. He said you can't, I'm going to paraphrase, be debt averse, because you're going to need debt in a balance as you grow. So that is 100% correct. There were several times where we should have gotten a line of credit right after we raised a round, and I want to spend a second on that. If you raise a round and you have cash in the bank, is the best time and the least time you're thinking about it because you have money to go get a line of credit. What do I mean by that? A line of credit is so different than a bank loan. A line of credit is money that is sitting there that you don't pay on it, interest on it, if you don't use it. And folks don't want to give you that when you need it, right? So that is considered a debt on your balance sheet. But that's an example of good debt. Is that fair? Okay, one more money matter. Thank you. That was really important. Yes, sir. Ooh. Opportunity cost. Man, that's hard to measure, but it's so, so important. I'm going to give you my definition of that. What is it that only you can do as a founder, right? There will be things in your business where it's time to start hiring because you're spending time on something you shouldn't. There's a lot of other definitions, but I like that a lot. Can we thank our money panelists? Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you. Thanks for sitting in the.
Yeah, I thought it might be used before I
we called it a love seat, but it's it's not a hot seat, it's a love seat. Okay, let's talk about mind. Okay, you as a human being are the product for so long. I feel like I'm still a product, and it can be exhausting. But mind, money was first, mind is next. Your mind, your brain, for years and years is what someone is betting on. It's what they're investing in. It's you as a human being. And that is tricky. That's tricky for a lot of us, okay? I think the world is catching up to minds. I'll just speak for the United States, but women, people of color, US veterans, we get very little in venture capital. Okay, we get less than 1%. Can y'all believe it? So white males get about 98% of venture capital in this country. So we're still catching up. Yes, 2%, that's right. So mind is a tricky thing, but it is your superpower, okay? It is your superpower. So how you present yourself in these pitches, whether it's with a banker, whether it's with a venture capitalist, a potential partner, is the most important thing behind money. Again, if you're an amazing human that's super brilliant, you don't know your money, I don't think it's gonna happen. So let's just talk about that. First, let me have 3 folks come up. Come on up, somebody raise 3 more people, raise your hand. Yes, ma'am, come on up. Who else? Yes, ma'am? Yes, sir, come on up. Please, there's stairs on the sides too, if y'all wanna do that. Okay, while they get settled, we'll keep talking about mind. I walk in the door, okay, and I can't tell you the amount of meetings I've been in where folks are looking at their phone, looking at their laptop. Every time I went into Silicon Valley on Menlo Park, I'd get hives, because I didn't know. And again, for those of you not in the US, it's kind of our bubble of venture capital. And I always thought, how can I break through with these folks? How can they remember me? And one thing I'll say is research, research, research. People love themselves. So do as much homework as you humanly can on the organization and the human sitting across from you. Did they go to university? No. Do they love sports? Do they have a labradoodle like you do? Do they love to fish? I love to fish. I can talk for hours about fishing. Okay? They love to see themselves in you. Okay? It doesn't mean you're being disingenuous. Find a commonality or be honest. I did a bunch of research. Looks like you're passionate about so-and-so. Tell me more about it. Okay? Number 2, get to it. Folks are so busy. They're so busy. They've got 1,000 more pitches behind you. Don't waste their time. Show up early. Follow-up is still king. I still write handwritten thank you notes. It shocks the shit out of people, and they feel like they have to respond. A stamp. Boop. Okay? So that really personal interaction and correspondence is still very valuable. Also, persistence is valuable. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. I mean, I do it until someone just says to stop. Or maybe they'll say yes, even if they said no someday. Second is learn from the people in that room. You will learn more from no's over time than you will yeses. We had a no flow chart. We had almost 200 no's in the beginning of Hello Wallace. And we started seeing patterns. Look, some people were jerks, but we started seeing really important patterns, holes in our business plans, holes in our technology. There is power in the no's. Also, no does not mean never. I had a lot of people, once we started getting successful, come back around. So not burning those bridges is important. Okay, let's talk about mind for a second, okay? First, y'all introduce yourselves. You start.
Sure. This is Marjan Monfared. I'm founder and CEO of Leaf Guardian. We are the first fully automated contactless prevention solution for pressure injuries or bed sores, which is, you love it, $27 billion market.
All right, awesome. Go ahead.
My name is, you hear me? My name is Osbert. I work for a manufacturing company in northern Indiana as a business analyst. And on the side, I have interest in real estate. I'm trying to create homes that feel like home for travelers who come to small cities and they don't want to stay there permanently.
Awesome, awesome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Hayden. I am the founder of Hustle Creative Studio, a digital strategy platform focused on creative writing, analytics, social media management, as well as other communication efforts towards any business.
All right, so I'm going to do some common questions that everybody asks, then we're going to do some ones that folks don't ask that they should. So why are you the best person to run this business? And hold your mic really close.
Okay, so is it good?
Yes.
Great. I can answer it based on 2 different aspects. The first of all is the background and like how much you have a knowledge and of infrastructure to understand your industry and to push forward. The second is your personal integrity and the drive, because the founder route is not something easy, everyone knows. And you will hear many no's in your path, but you should have that insider link that you wouldn't give up yourself and you will bet all your chips on yourself. So I have that. I come from a very diverse background. I have my bachelor in mechanical engineering. I got my PhD program in biomedical engineering, and then another master's in civil engineering and MBA. So lots of academia. But I have an academic background, and I could understand, because of my diverse background, I have a common knowledge and language to talk with the team across diverse systems, which is one of my superpowers. And it's my second, in fact, a startup. And this one is hit from home. Because I lost my grandma to a pressure injury, which was a secondary disease. She acquired it from hospital. And we were all off guard. And I tried anything in the market, and nothing helps. And she passes, not for her cancer, but for her pressure injuries that she got from hospital. So that was the first thing. And then later, I kind of promised my mom. I was like, I don't let anyone to go through this, because there should be a solution.
Yeah.
I know how to make devices. I know how to make system works. I will get into this. So I started, and later, as I interviewed with more nurses, more physicians, and I even traveled to India to even have an exposure to diversity of market, and landed my first co-pilot there. I see that there is a huge gap, and how much is the burden is nobody's fault. Everyone trying their best, but they only don't have the means that it could help them to go through that procedure. So I just connected that there.
That's awesome.
And we use the physics informed AI building based on the thermography imaging, and we pinpoint a spot with high accuracy, the area that has a blood flow disruption. So we have over 90% efficacy rate over deep tissue pressure injuries.
Amazing. So first, I'm sorry about your grandma. So that was awesome. So let's unpack. So I suddenly know that she's got a passion for this, right? I'm talking about you. She has a personal drive. If your mom tells you to do something, if you promise your mother, right? So there's a personal story. I'm going to remember that story probably even more than the business concept. She also slipped in her amazing academic record, right? She also said she's good at managing diverse teams. So in that short background, I got education, I got management. She has a passion for this. She knows what she's doing. She's researched it. So that was just an amazing, great job. Great job. That was so good. Okay, so I'm going to come around here. I'm going to pick on you next. So, common question. You ready? So, what would you say is your worst trait as a founder? A little change up there, but you will be asked this in some way or another. What skill set do you not have, and what will you do about it?
Good question.
Hold that mic real close so we can all hear you.
I think over time I have realized that I sometimes get so much attached. I mean, as entrepreneurs, we're supposed to be marry the solutions instead of marry the problem instead of a solution. But sometimes as I build and create something, I get more attached to what I'm building, because I'll give an example of a company I worked for. I worked for several startups, and I think that's one of the reasons why I grew interest into entrepreneurship. So for all the companies I've worked for, I always get so much attached to them, and I call them my babies. That is to one end, it's a good thing, but to some extent, it becomes a bad thing if if as a founder you have to iterate and change and do some, and create another solution for a problem. So I think it's a bad trait, but on the other side, I think it can be seen as a strength.
So that was awesome. Where I'm from, we call it crawfishing, where you take a negative. Where are you from? You keep nodding like you know what I'm talking about. Here? Okay. So it's basically where someone puts a negative on you and you use it to your benefit. Everyone will get asked this question at some point in your life. And so he basically was like, oh, I'm just too passionate, right? These are my babies, which means I'm going to protect them at all costs. I'm going to die for them. So he took what could be perceived as a negative. He even talked about how important it is to iterate, right? So he just went through and flip-flopped. You'd be great in an emotional argument too. I feel sorry for whoever you're dating. So really think, but be prepared for that question. And it is a fair question, right? And sometimes you can even throw in, which he did, in my history, this happened, I did this, but I learned from it, I overcame it. The other thing you can really talk about is how do you hire talent? So I am not technical at all. I have the greatest technical co-founder in the world, right? So that gave me the opportunity to suddenly talk about that we have a great tech co-founder, right? So really, remember crawfish, flip it over, be ready for that answer, but push the positive into it, okay? You ready, Dallas?
I'm ready.
We're both Texans, so we talked earlier. Okay. If there is a competitor in the market with your same company, how are you as a founder going to push past them?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I would continuously keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to look at another competitor and try and mimic what they're doing. What I've been doing has been working, so putting myself out there, making sure when I'm working for a client, I'm completely structured on my plan. I'm good about staying involved with my clients as far as what their needs are and making sure I'm meeting them based off of the trajectory of my strategy plan. Mm-hmm. And just keep showing up in ways that I feel could be better than what someone else is doing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So again, you're going to get a question either about an existing competitive company. And by the way, you should do as much research on that company as possible before you head into any of these meetings. Or it'll be a little early on and they're going to say, how do you as a human again, right? And she went through every single one of those really critical leadership. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to use my talents. I'm going to stay focused. All those words are really important key words. So thank you. That was really good. Now, a couple of other things. They are going to research the hee-haw out of y'all. So everything that's on your LinkedIn, everything that's in your bio, every company you have ever worked for, some analyst will have given a briefing note to whoever you're pitching. So just be ready to understand and answer questions about this is a job interview, y'all. This is a job interview. Until you're about a Series C, it is still a job interview. So make sure your personal history, you are ready to say, why did you leave that group? What did you do over here? What was your experience with that company? And make sure you're up on how those companies are doing. That shows you still know your industry, you still know your history. And then finally, if you are a little later stage and they are going to ask you about the competitor, they will compare you to that other leader. Guarantee you. How are you compared to Jack Dorsey? Well, Jack never wears a shirt. He's always praying these days. He lives in Baja. No, I'm joking. That's actually true. But so be prepared. Never shit on the other person, ever, ever. But say, here's why I would be fundamentally a better leader to lead in this industry. And just know your competitors, know your landscape. All right, let me come back to y'all on your mind. What am I missing? What's other things that you might be asked or topics you should think about with you personally as a founder? Ooh, y'all are less on this one than the money one. Everyone had money ideas. Come on. Yes, ma'am. Say it a little louder. How do you give back? Ooh, I like that. So that matters to folks. How do you give back? Could be to your potential employees, to your customers, to your communities. You will very much get that question on grant applications. Most small business grants, they want to see a residual community benefit to those applications. Most government-backed loans, they want to see a residual community benefit. So that is a really critical, not soft, but hard question. Thank you. Yes, sir. Ooh, we're gonna jump both feet into that. Have you ever failed? We're gonna hit that in the mountain section, so I'm gonna pause on that. You jumped the shark on me. That is a really good one. What else? What else on the mind? How do you handle conflict? Ooh, that'll be a question. Yes, sir.
Maybe we can check about the revenue channel. People make money from people, not only one channel.
What are multiple revenue channels that you have in mind to make money with your business?
One product, but you can sell it in 2 different ways.
One product selling in 2 different channels. Very good. There was another back here. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please. Yeah, so he was asking, what do I mean by conflict? So, well, let me do a couple of those. So if you have a co-founder, I have a co-founder, they are 100% going to ask you how you get along with that co-founder. How do you deal with conflict? What do you do if you don't agree? So that is 1. 2 is you will have conflict at some point with your investor. That is not a bad thing. They might want to go one direction. So they'll ask you that question. Hey, if we don't agree, how are we going to handle it? Especially if they're going to join their board. So conflict can also be thought of as disagreements, discussion, conflict with your employees. I think that it's a pretty big question. Yes, ma'am. You're going to have to be real. I'm so sorry. Be louder. Are you approachable? Coachable. Coachable. Oh, boy. That's a whopper. So are you coachable? So that is so important because your business will change drastically every couple of years. So can you change with it? Can you be coached through it? I think that's a really good question. I like that. Okay, one more. Yes, sir.
About team dynamics. Who on your team will challenge you, bring a different perspective?
Great question. Team dynamics. Who on your team will challenge you? So another way to ask that might be, what are you hiring for? Are you hiring for people that'll say yes to you all the time? Are you going to hire people that challenge you? Are you hiring people with different backgrounds and skill sets? Really important. Please.
I just want to add how you are resilient but flexible.
Resilient but flexible.
But because
Yeah.
you need to pivot and you don't need to, you must not have a fixed mentality. And
Right.
even if you believe something you are developing is the best, you should always take as like the third person role and be brutally unbiased and say what is the situation right now, how I can be more resilient, how I can make this business more resilient, and how I can pivot
Yeah.
to have the best outcomes.
Resilient but flexible. I love that. All right, can we thank our Love Seat folks? So I'm going to talk about, please, thank y'all so much. I'm going to talk about mountains, and I need 3 people to come up while I start talking about it. Yes, sir, come on up. I really want the local up here. Come on up. And then I need an awesome woman to come up. Yes, ma'am, come on up. Okay, let's talk about mountains. I can't stop thinking about this, and it is our new world reality. I don't care where you live. I don't care what industry you are in. Things are willy-nilly right now. They're a little wild, okay? And this could be, did we ever think we were going to have a global pandemic? Did we ever think we're going to have this many natural disasters? We had, I forget, someone can help me with this, almost 40% of countries have brand new leaders right now, went through elections. So policy changes are everywhere, okay? AI is absolutely changing by the second. Now, I actually look at crisis as opportunities, okay? But that's me, right? So mountains, you are going to be asked very financial questions about mountains, personal questions about mountains, macroeconomic questions about mountains, okay? If you're a mountain climber, I'm sorry if I'm offending you. I don't like climbing mountains, so let's start really quickly about, so you brought up what rainy day fund, okay? They're going to be asking you within your P&L, what do you have set aside? How much cash? Do you have loan mechanisms? Is your credit good enough, listen to this, not just to grow, but to survive something if you need to, okay? There's going to be, and we're going to get into the personal side of this, how do you personally handle a crisis? This is different than a conflict, than a pivot, a crisis, a black swan event in your life, okay? And I'm going to come back to that. The third is macro. Macro. I'm in financial technology. We all went whoop. In 2 weeks, everybody's valuations went down. Was that my fault? I hope not. But it was a whopper, right? So macroeconomic, pandemic, macroeconomic, climate change, okay? So as founders, is your business plan ready for mountains? Are you personally ready? Can you pivot? Can you iterate to be flexible but focused, okay? In 12 months at Hello Alice, we lost Silicon Valley Bank overnight. We got into a really nasty federal lawsuit, and then one of us had a heart attack. So that was 12 months of things that were absolutely outside of our control, okay? So it's so important to really understand this. So, hello.
Hello.
Introduce yourselves, where you're from, please.
Mark Schindel, I'm here with Boomerang Ventures. Actually from southern Indiana, but have moved around the states, different places. So some of the crawfish references. I know.
You got it,
Yeah.
all right.
Hello everyone, I'm Ron Jali, the CEO and founder of WeDoNet. It's a platform to connect freelancers in Iraq and Middle East to the international clients globally. I'm from Kurdistan region, which is north of Iraq.
Very good. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kristen Kinzel. I'm from Wichita, Kansas, and I own a suite concept salon called Utopia Modern Salon Suites.
Oh, amazing! Yum. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go both personal and P&L here, if that's okay. And again, I won't ask you. It's more your reaction to things, not things that have happened to you. So, in your fund, if 5 of your LPs, do you have LPs? So this is relevant? Okay.
Fund does, yeah.
Okay. Go bankrupt. How would you and your firm handle that?
I think making sure you've got broad relationships and networking and being able to pool the contacts, the resources, if something goes south, those people know people. So I think leveraging that network is going to be a key piece.
And how would you communicate what happened out to the rest of your LPs so that they don't lose confidence?
Being truthful, honest, realistic, and constructive.
Mm-hmm. And how would you communicate it to your portfolios?
I think just knowing that there are challenges that come up and those are realities, and just being prepared for some tightening of the belts as needed. But we're in this together. It's a collective, collaborative type of environment.
So thank you very much. So that could happen, right? That happens every day. And again, completely out of your control. We are not mind readers. We do not have crystal balls. We'd all be billionaires. Also, you're not a failure if you pick a few people that didn't turn out to be what they said they're going to be. That can be your employees, that can be your investors, that could be a board member. So how you handle that, right? How you handle that situation is almost more important than the situation itself. So you will be asked these types of questions, whether you're raising a fund, whether you're raising venture for your company, and your portfolio companies. Those of you that are investors and ecosystem leaders, they're nervous these days. There's a lot of low confidence about systems, governments, institutions right now. So really communicating in an honest way, fast, own your own message. We made a huge mistake when we got sued. We won, but I just didn't want anyone to know about it, and so they got out in front of us, and we didn't own our own message at first. You've got to communicate fast. So I love what you said about we'd be honest, we'd be transparent, you'd build confidence, okay? Okay, I'm trying to think of a different way to ask this from a global perspective. You as a leader, if you personally have a health issue and you have to step out of your role, how would you handle that, and who would help you?
My co-founder's ready. I
God bless
already
you, but-
invested.
Yeah.
So it's necessary to have a co-founder who can share the same brain set and mindset with the business. Otherwise, you have to give them time. For mine, I gave him like 2 years just to understand my way of thinking and management and leadership. So once maybe I'm sick, he can handle the projects.
And how would, who would pick up that person's work? Because suddenly that person has 2 jobs.
Of course, I already worked on the strategy of the business before, because you have to have a brand guideline for your business. So I worked on that. So maybe even if you have the same sickness of mine, because we were close, we can apply this to another person. But of course, it needs more time, to be honest, because the market is kind of difficult. But yeah, we have a strong community who will be understanding, and the system is ready because we are working in tech platform to connect the freelancers. So someone in tech, they can really easily use the website. It's very friendly for the team, even for new people.
So great answers. So this will be asked, especially bigger checks later stage. They are betting on you, but we're humans. So something in your life, you personally could have a health issue, your child, elder care, huge issue right now, elder care. Okay, for whatever reason, you have to step out of your role. Y'all watch that show Succession? Okay, so I don't remember legally, but I think it's Series B, you're a venture capitalist, you know. You have to legally have a succession plan. On paper, what happens if you're not here? Okay, that should happen the day you start. So who steps into your role? Who's gonna climb that mountain while you're out? How are you communicating? Even things like, okay, I'm going to get surgery, here's the only 3 reasons you should call me, but there are 3, right? And then what employees move into the correct places? So all of this is critically important. Having that plan the day you start, you will be asked that. Banks are starting to ask that a lot more too, because again, when they're giving a loan, they're giving it to you. So they're gonna wanna know who's gonna pick up if you're not there. So this is also for y'all's own personal mental health. You need to be able to step out of the business at some point for something. You don't know what it is yet. Maybe it's for a wonderful reason. Maybe you have a baby, okay, or your spouse has a baby. You know, maybe you actually want to take a vacation, God forbid, for like a week. So have these plans in place. Really think through them, whether it's opportunity or it's crisis. Very important. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to P&L, so don't get too nervous. Okay. All right. Bakery, correct? Sweets.
Salon suites.
Salon sweets.
Like S-U-I-T.
Oh, sweets. Ooh, even better. Now my question makes a lot more sense. Okay. And you're in Kansas? Okay. Tornado comes through. This happens a lot in Kansas. And wipes out half your building, half of your suites. How would you handle that? How much money do you have in the bank? What would you do?
Are you asking for my business in particular?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So a tornado comes through Wichita, Kansas, and wipes out one of my 3 locations.
Yes.
Just one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would enlist all my other 2 locations to work with me, and because we differentiate ourselves as a company by building community, we already have that in place. So we would ask everyone to shift and help out while we deal with the insurance and the other things that we have to do. Are you asking financially though?
Only if you want to. If you have thoughts on that.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to give you a better. Financially, we would. So our tenants pay us rent.
Mm-hmm.
So we would hope to have enough money in the bank that we could suspend their rent, or at least defer it.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, we have a line of credit. I took notes on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once that's in place, we would have that and enlist that if we needed to.
Awesome. Thank you. So I said this before, 2/3 of countries have had a significant natural disaster. And even if you're not a brick and mortar business, that could be power outages, internet outages, your employees can't come to work. So this is a really growing question of how do you handle your business if the business is stalled, okay? And the pandemic was the biggest one of all. So going back to mountains, we are totally out of time. But just to finish up, this mountains question is important. And it's important not just when you are applying for capital, but really to think about in your business from a cash perspective, from a personal perspective, from a macro environment perspective. These are really important. So let's thank our three folks while I close up here. Thank you three very much. So coming back again to money-minded mountains. These are just three core principles that I think a lot about. Again, these are soft subjects, but they should always have real business planning behind them. And I hope this is a way that you guys can think about on the ecosystem and investor building side of how to help your founders think through those big elements. And I also think those three things should change a lot. Every couple of years, the world changes, we change as humans. I have teenagers now, Lord help me. It was very different in the way I run the business and travel than when they were infants. AI I talked about, totally different world. Climate change, different world. Policies. Every country is going through significant policy change right now. So what does that look like? So I really encourage you, the one thing I do like about applying for capital is it makes you get your shit together. Right? Whether you're just doing a grant or you're doing a big venture capital raise, you got to get all your ducks in a row. You have to be focused. You have to think through all these things. So I would challenge you all to maybe pretend like you're applying for something every quarter. Think through those big things. If someone was sitting across from you and pushing you on money-minded mountains, what would your new answers be each time? So again, I'm Elizabeth Gore. Oh, by the way, we have $8 million in grants open right now during GEC. So please go to helloalice.com/funding, apply for philanthropic grants with Gen Global. We love our partnership with them. So that is open. I forgot to say that in the beginning. I'm at Elizabeth Gore, USA. Always happy to help in any way I can. Again, I'm not a professional at fundraising. I'm a fintech person, but this is just personal experiences. It's very difficult, it's very personal, but it is worth it. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great conference. Thank you.